she has continued to do this exact same thing, to use your court to push her agenda, the exact same agenda, for 10 years, Your Honor. We did this again. We did this 6 months ago, the exact same thing.
Measures. Additionally, Isaac has been evaluated for ADHD. If you remember, we had to get a court order to proceed with that evaluation. Just last week, Isaac had a follow-up appointment to review that ADHD potential. Previously, the PA believed that he had unspecified ADHD, but wanted to wait to recommend treatment in order to hear from his teachers. So we waited until the school year got started, got past the beginning part of the school year, and then had some input from Isaac's teachers. Now the PA believes that Isaac's struggles are more connected to anxiety. This was an appointment that happened just last week, so I apologize that we don't have a recommendation in our exhibits. But she believes that his struggles are connected to anxiety and has recommended a follow-up appointment in several months to reevaluate that. The concern with anxiety is supported by Isaac's therapist. Isaac, as you may recall, we also had discussions about finding Isaac a male therapist. Last time we were before you, Isaac has gotten started with a therapist, Chris Jones is his name. Isaac likes him, things are going well. Just last week, Isaac's therapist, Mr. Chris, wrote a letter sharing his observations and his opinions that Isaac is experiencing something called malicious parent syndrome. That's contained in a letter that we just received on Friday, so that wasn't submitted with our exhibits. And I'll discuss more about that in a minute. This syndrome that the therapist is discussing is not in the DSM-5, but is a behavioral pattern that's been well documented and has been published about. And a basic summary of that would be when one parent seeks to essentially punish another parent through alienation of the child. That's what this therapist thinks is happening with Isaac. We got this letter on Friday. It describes some of the concerns that the therapist has regarding Isaac and his father. I'll read from it very briefly. Isaac reports his father frequently discusses adult and legal matters during visits, speaks negatively about Isaac's mother, places him in situations that create emotional conflict and anxiety. As a part of this letter, the therapist recounts certain quotes, statements made from Isaac. He's using that as a way to put a basis on his opinions to kind of back that up. So Isaac's statements are contained within this letter, but the therapist states that sharing these statements directly with Isaac's father or his attorney would not be in the best interest of the child. The statement should not be disclosed to the father directly. And essentially, the therapist is saying that he fears retaliation against Isaac if such statements were shared. So we did get this letter just on Friday, but haven't circulated it because of those concerns. And we can certainly discuss more about that. On the topic of emotional retaliation, we understand that Dad has engaged in some inappropriate conversations with Grace, the party's daughter, and our motion recounts a recorded lecture from Dad to Grace that was happening over a trip. I think it was like a family vacation on Dad's time. And I'm sure Your Honor has reviewed those, but I mean, essentially there's some pretty concerning statements that Dad is making to Grace that's putting Grace, at more risk of emotional dysregulation. We already know that Grace is having issues with her anxiety, with her mental health. We have recommendations from a PA to proceed with medication, and now Dad's making these statements to Grace that's obviously making her incredibly uncomfortable. So we are in a tough spot. Essentially, the relief that we're asking for specifically today is a suspension of parenting time between Dad and Grace. We don't think that the parenting time is going very well. Dad's making these statements to Grace, and Dad has volunteered away some of his time with Grace, as documented in our motion. We don't think that suspending parenting time between dad and Isaac would be beneficial. And Isaac's therapist agrees that ceasing that visitation wouldn't be beneficial, but something does need to be done. We are open to suggestions from Your Honor. We're asking for sole medical decision-making for mom due to the constant roadblocks that dad puts up regarding the kid's care. If we were to remove that delay that comes from needing to get dad's consent to move forward with medical and therapeutic measures, and remove the delay that comes from needing to go to court to get a court order to proceed with the necessary care for these kids, maybe the emotional well-being of these kids would improve. But we are open to suggestions.
All right, Ms. Huckman, let me stop you there.
Okay.
Your motion before the court says mom does not request IW's parenting time with dad be modified at this time. Now you argue something differently.
No, Your Honor. We're saying we don't think that modifying dad's parenting time with Isaac would be beneficial. Keep it the same. It's with Grace and dad that we're concerned about. I apologize if that wasn't clear.
So what time with Isaac would he have currently?
Currently, he has every other weekend, after school to Sunday night, correct?
Yeah.
And then every other to Monday morning school drop off.
Yes.
And then Tuesday and
Or Thursday, depending
And then-
on the week.
yeah, 1 week Tuesday night and the other week Thursday night, and that's the time that Grace has with that right now.
Okay, why wasn't this other letter shared with Mr. Worden prior to this hearing? I mean, you have his email address, right?
The letter with the therapist,
Yes.
because of those concerns that the therapist specifically stated that not to share it with dad because of fear of retaliation. We wanted to wait to get before Your Honor. I know he does have a right to it. If he wanted to participate in therapy and reach out to the therapist, I think that, he could request the letter himself. I think that I don't have a problem sharing this letter with Isaac's statements redacted, because that was specifically what the therapist's concern was, that if dad reads Isaac's words, that there would be some form of retaliation. I'm happy, and I know that I'm referencing this letter, and we didn't provide a copy to the court. We just got it on Friday. I'm happy to send it to Your Honor, but the reason that it wasn't circulated with dad is because of those specific concerns from the therapist.
All right. I think counsel's done a good job of summarizing what they're seeking today and why at this point. Mr. Worden, what is your response?
Well, my response is that she has continued to do this exact same thing, to use your court to push her agenda, the exact same agenda, for 10 years, Your Honor. We did this again. We did this 6 months ago, the exact same thing. We did it the year before that, the exact same thing. We did it the year before that, the exact same thing, on and on and on back, because she's able to get a little bit of ground, gain a little bit of ground from your court every time, apparently, in taking my children away from me and trying to end up getting them both on medications is what she wants to do, and what she has been pushing to do for 10 years. They've been in counseling that entire time since the divorce, since they were little babies, since they were toddlers, Your Honor. They have told me constantly since that time they do not want to be in counseling. The counseling has not helped them. Both of them have told me that hundreds of times. Both of them have told me hundreds of times they don't want to be tested. They don't want to be on medications. They don't want, and they don't believe they need them, just as I have never believed they needed anything like that. She has pushed and manipulated counselors and doctors for 10 years to try to push her agenda. You asked me 6 months ago, I really still have no clue, but the only information along these lines that has ever come out in terms of these children, she's been pushing the ADD and ADHD thing for years with Isaac. She has found a couple of counselors in that time that said maybe he might, have a problem with that. But every teacher, every principal, his Cub Scout leaders, his choir leaders, all of my family and relatives, everybody else that he and Grace have been around have felt like, as well as me, have felt like these kids are great, including you, Your Honor. You've had them in your chambers twice, once 5 years ago, once 6 months ago. Both times you talked about what great and mature kids they were. You specifically said that my son Isaac, back when he was 7 years old, it seemed like he was about as mature as an 11-year-old. Both kids, both times told you also that both times Isaac told you that he wanted more time with me. He always has wanted to spend more time with me. Grace, both times, has said that she's fine with the time that she had, which was, every other weekend. We originally had 2 days a week. A couple sessions ago, you cut it down to 1 day a week. And then 6 months ago, you okayed for them to take Grace away from me on weekends, and said that, it seemed like 4.5 hours a week is sufficient, even though she told you our relationship was fine. We have not had a strained relationship, other than what her mother has caused through exactly what she said, the alienation, trying to alienate me and my kids' relationships all along. She's done that since the divorce, since they were 2 and 3 years old, since she kicked me out of the house. Excuse me. The divorce was finalized in 2000. In 2020. But these kids, it's just been an ongoing agenda. Her attorney postmarked this on the 18th of October, which was 9 days ago, and that, I didn't even get it in my PO box until after that. But that's been several times that I have not been able to spend hardly any time with her on my few hours a week that I have available because of the sports. Same has happened with Isaac. He was in football, and it ended up playing games on Thursday night. Yeah, I went to several of his games, the home games, but I wasn't able to. He had to ride the bus the other night, so I wasn't able to, have my visitation time with him. So it's dwindled down to nothing with Grace, though. She's been spending all 99.9% of the last 6 months with her mother, and apparently that's when she's been so depressed and anxious. And also that also coincides with the time that her mother decided to provide phones and full internet service to both of my kids without checking with me as well. And so they're dealing with that. Apparently on one hand, she thinks they're responsible enough to handle a phone and internet and all the things that go along with that, but yet at the other hand, she's constantly trying to say they've got disorders and problems, and they're just, not doing good in all kinds of things. Which is just not the reality that I experience with those kids, or that, as I said, their teachers or principals or other leaders have experienced.
Parenting time order reflects. Why is it necessary to curtail that time even more?
Everything that Dad has just said, we know that he said it to Grace. We know that he's bad-mouthing Mom in front of Grace. We have the video of him. This is a transcription from that video that Grace took a recording of. It's part of our exhibits. Honestly, Your Honor, we're asking for help. these kids are not doing well. They're great kids. Nobody is arguing that these kids are not amazing kids. They're super involved, they're gifted, but they're having emotional struggles, and it really does appear that it's coming from one place. It's not that we're trying to take away a relationship here. We're trying to get creative of how do we fix this? The kids are not doing, they could be doing better. And we're looking for any solution that we can. We are open to suggestions if you have a different idea.
If this court were to authorize the medication, which has been strongly recommended, counsel, and presuming that this medication has any type of positive effect on the moods of the daughter in this case, then why couldn't she, while still being under therapist care, have the still limited time with her father?
That is definitely a solution, Your Honor. As I stated, if we are able to take away the significant delays in getting these kids care, perhaps their mood and perhaps their relationship with their father would improve. We would be open to that.
Mr. Worden, I understand your concerns. However, this court's in no position to second guess the specific strong recommendations of someone that has claimed, at least, that they've done a thorough evaluation on your daughter and her current needs. If the court will approve and overrule any objection by the father to the mother administering the medication as prescribed in the letter, let me ascertain the date. It's hard to read in its current form. It appears to be July 3rd of 2025.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Court will specifically approve that medication be given to the daughter effective immediately. However, this court is extremely hesitant to further limit parenting time between father and daughter. I would hope, again, that this medication will have some perhaps calming effect or take a little bit of animosity out of the situation. Mr. Worden, I'm going to caution you again not to run down the mother or discuss your court case in front of your daughter. I would think that with such limited time, you do nothing but everything in your power to enjoy the time that you have with your daughter without bringing this case into it in any way, or criticizing her therapist, whom I'm expecting to have a good relationship with your daughter. I want her to be honest and frank with her therapist and not worried about what her parents are going to think about what she tells her. So the court is granting at this time limited relief on the motion, which is currently before the court. Court at this time makes no adjustments to the parenting time schedule involving either one of the Worden children. I'm also hesitant, counsel, to grant a blanket order in this case that only mother can control future decisions regarding medication. And apparently that's what you're requesting at this point.
I mean, there has been, yes, to the extent that there has been significant delays in getting the kids care. We have to go to dad, who is blanketing, saying no, he does not approve of the therapy. He thinks the kid shouldn't be in therapy. He doesn't think that the PA's recommendation should be played out. He thinks that mom's making all of this stuff up. We have to go to court every time that we need some sort of medical or therapeutic intervention in these kids' lives. And he doesn't participate in the appointments. He doesn't reach out to the medical individuals. It doesn't seem like he's interested. So yes, we are asking for sole medical decision-making power. If you are uncomfortable with that, perhaps we could say that if there is some sort of medical recommendation from an authorized medical person, that mom be allowed to carry that out. My mom isn't making this stuff up. She's getting the appropriate evaluations. She has the kids in appropriate treatment, and she's just doing what the experts are telling her to do. And if you look at our motion, we we ask that in the alternative, if we can't get the sole medical decision-making power, that Grace be allowed to go on medication, which you granted, and also that Isaac be able to, that mom be able to follow through with any recommendation that this PA in this case makes regarding his ongoing struggles in school and his behavior.
You're talking about Mr. Jones at this point, correct, in regards to Isaac?
No, I'm actually referring to the PA, Sarah. That would be our Exhibit C, which is also hard to read. This is the Exhibit C is now no longer the most updated recommendation or summary evaluation from the PA. As I mentioned, they just had an appointment last week. She now thinks that we're dealing with some anxiety and we're going to need some more follow-up because of that. It's a process. These kids are changing, they're growing, developing, and so we just want to be able to implement any sort of recommendation that's made without undue delay. The fact that we're probably going to have to come back to court to implement a recommendation if it is ever made is concerning.
Mr. Worden, you would recognize, would you not, that the mother has the right to seek emergency care for your children if they get hurt?
Of course, and I've always gone along with and agreed on any necessary or normal medical or other
Who determines
types
what's
of
necessary, Mr. Worden? You? You are a medical professional. Who's in the best position to make the decision as to what's actually necessary regarding medical care? I mean, do you have a medical degree or medical training?
No,
All right.
Your Honor, I don't.
And again, I would
I'm there-
also
I'm just-
agree
I'm just the
that Abby doesn't
father.
have that type of training or should be clothed with that kind of blanket authority to make all medical decisions for your children. But what apparently her approach has been is to seek help from appropriate medical professionals and then follow their recommendation. So it's
No.
not, it doesn't appear to be her unilateral decision about starting her kids on medication, which this court wouldn't necessarily agree with, but rather to seek the help of a licensed professional and follow their recommendation.
Your Honor,
But you
she's
have a
been
problem
fighting for
with
that
that.
for years.
Excuse me?
She's been fighting for that for years, Your Honor,
Fighting for
in
what?
your court to try to get those kids diagnosed and put on medications. That's what that has been her goal and her agenda for years. So, and she does have a lot of she is a nurse and she does have a lot of medical people in the industry, doctors and other people that she has manipulated and tried to get her what she's once done, Your Honor. She's done the same thing with the counselors. And she's done the same thing with the teachers at school and the principal at school. I mean, she's just done it for years and years and years. I mean, it's not hard for me to see what she's been doing.
And what is the adverse effect for your children if they receive medication prescribed by mental health professionals? I mean, what is your real concern here about your kids?
To put my 12-year-old, my 11-year-old girl on Prozac, I think that's wrong. I think it's unnecessary. I think it's wrong. I think there's absolutely no reason for that, anything like that at all, as her father. And at knowing her as I know her and seeing how she's grown up and everything else. I mean, I am her father, Your Honor. God gave me to her as her father. And, you know, God gives us a certain amount of wisdom about our kids, I believe, and common sense and logic. And, you know, I've seen what's happened, what her mother has done for 10 years. That's why I called you this morning and brought it up on a voicemail. You know, if you go back and look at all the
don't try to communicate with the court behind the other side's back.
Huh? What's that?
Don't try to communicate with this court behind the other party's back. Your
Honor, I protested this morning before court. I protested this hearing.
I don't know what you mean by protesting. You were wanting to delay this hearing or not have it at all, or I'm not sure what your message said because I didn't hear it. I didn't get it, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm just telling you that's improper for you to do that, so stop it.
Oh. I didn't know it was improper for me to communicate
is.
with you before the
Yes,
hearing.
it is.
I thought that's how we were supposed to ask for
Ask for what?
continuance and things like
You
that.
come on the meeting and ask for it then, which you did not do.
I did last time, 6 months ago.
All right, well, I think you know the court's position now. Okay. The court will direct Ms. Hockman that your suggestion regarding redaction of actual statements by Isaac is approved, and then I want the communication otherwise to be immediately sent after this hearing by email to Mr. Worden following that redaction. I do agree that there is a concern there about the candor that we want from the kids when they speak to medical professionals. And I don't know just how much
The mother,
that affects, but
We'll get
how
that
could
done.
the mother be allowed to hear it?
well, I get the distinct impression it's concerns over what the relationship between you and Isaac might be.
Judge, can we please confirm Mr. Warden's email address?
Mr. Worden?
PPINC 1990 at yahoo.com.
Is that what you have, Ms. Hockman?
That's what I have.
All
That's
right.
what I have to. Just wanted to be sure.
All right. Ms. Hockman, you're going to need to prepare a written order of the court's authorization regarding the medication. And I do want that letter specifically referred to
We'll do.
in your order to make it perfectly clear what the court is actually authorizing.
Okay.
At this time, the court is not modifying the actual parenting time rights of the father. Let's see what following the therapist recommendations makes, and perhaps will make the transition between mother's home and father's home more smooth. All right, Ms. Hockman, is there anything else that we need specifically addressed at this time? I didn't hear a response.
I think Becky might have a better idea.
I am unclear, Judge, as to whether you did make a ruling regarding the medical decision making. You asked Dad, you started to talk about it, and then you asked Dad what his main issue was, and if either party had medical decision making, and Mom was just following recommendations. But I know Ms. Hockman had asked that in the alternative, especially regarding Isaac's upcoming expected future recommendations from either the therapist or Sarah, the PA, we would anticipate there be some recommendation that's different than what the current one is, and that we would have to come to court again. And in the alternative, I believe Ms. Hockman was arguing that we be able to just proceed with whatever those upcoming recommendations are regarding Isaac, if that makes sense.
And are you talking specifically about medication management for Isaac?
I don't know, honestly, and Ms. Hockman can maybe be more specific, but from her previous argument, it was that he had an ADHD evaluation, the court, and that was court ordered. There was follow-up last week, but then that person said that it was perhaps more anxiety related, and there's going to be another follow-up in a couple more weeks. And now he's with Mr. Jones. And Mr. Jones made that recommendation that we need to provide to the court and to Dad, because we just got it on Friday. And so I think there's going to be something, and it might be medication, or it might just be therapy related, but something is certainly going to be coming down the pipe in the next couple of weeks after the PA gets Isaac back in her office. So I think we just need a little guidance on that.
Court will approve a written recommendation from either his male therapist or the PA or another qualified physician regarding medication management in regards to both children.
Thank you.
I'm detecting, Mr. Warden, that these medical decisions are going to get nothing but resistance from you, regardless of the basis for the recommendation. For now, if the mother believes that following these recommendations is consistent with the best interest of her children, the court will allow those specific recommendations to be followed, as long as these written recommendations are provided to Mr. Warden as they happen. He has a right to know what's going on.
I have a right to not be involved in that with joint custody too.
What was that, Mr. Warden?
I have a right to be involved in every decision along those lines according to the laws of joint custody.
Well, I understand your
In this case.
protest, Mr. Warden, but where welfare of your kids is involved, the court has some overarching authority to make orders consistent with the best interest of those kids. And again, I don't have anything from your side that presents a contrary medical opinion that this is not in the best interest of your kids. And until I do, I'm inclined to follow the recommendations of qualified mental health professionals.
No.
All right. Does that provide the direction that you were seeking?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Again, if that would be drafted up into an order and in due course submitted to the court.
Will do.
Anything else, Ms. Hockman?
I don't believe so. I think that covered everything. Thank you.
Mr. Warden,
Yes.
enjoy your time with your kids.
Wish I could, Your
And
Honor.
try to not apply pressure on them. If there's nothing further at this time, then the Warden matter will be in recess. This meeting may be ended for all at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more courtroom breakdowns.